This is Gemara and Kesubos Daf. Hey, apologies for the lateness of today's shir, but let's quickly pick it up on the bottom of Pei Dalet Amud Beis, in the middle of all these lengthy stories with regard to whether one can be taifis, one can grab from properties of the deceased, and who is the one that gets to be paid first. A continuation of yesterday's shir, in which in the Mishnah we learned that we have a creditor, we have a woman, we have Yisaimim. Who is the one that gets paid from the deceased properties first? Is it a woman's ksuba? Is it the creditor? Or is it the children? We're on the last line of Pei Dalet Amud Beis, in which the Gemara teaches us Yemer Bar Chashu Havimazik B'Yizuti Ba'u Gavra. Yemer Bar Chashu had a claim of money against a certain man, Shachliv Shavik Arba. And what happened? The man that died and left over a boat. So Yemer Bar Chashu tells his shliach, go and grab the boat from me. Also Tavsa. So the shliach went and he grabbed the boat. Pagu Bei Rapapa, Ravuna Beit Yeshua. So Rapapa and Ravuna Beit Yeshua bumped into this man who's in the middle of grabbing a boat. Amrulei, they said to this man, you're grabbing this boat, they said to the shliach, and you're grabbing the boat on behalf of Yemer Bar Chashu, but this man owed other people money, and the Allah is any time that someone grabs something at a time that it is chav la'achirim, at a time that it could affect someone else as we turn over to Pei Amud Aleph, lo yikana, it's not a kinyan. Let's just be clear that of course it's only at Taivis the live bal chayiv. It's only because over here he was a shliach. If it was the person himself who grabbed, if someone owes me money and I grab, that's not called a Taivis bal chayiv. It's only over here because the shliach is grabbing on behalf of that person. So our Papa and our Ravuna Beit Yeshua told the shliach, you're not able to take in the half of Yemer Bar Chashu because this man that died left to other people. So what happened? The man dropped the boat and he went home. Tafsua inu Rapapa. So you know what happened? They, Rapapa and Ravuna Beit Yeshua, were as well owed money by that dead man, and they went and they grabbed the boat. Rapapa mimnach maluchi, Ravuna Beit Yeshua mimatach la ba'ashla. Rapapa memnach maluchi rowed the boat. Ravuna Beit Yeshua pulled the boat with a rope. So each one of them is trying to make a kinyan on the boat due to the fact that the deceased person owed them money. Rapapa is rowing the boat. Ravuna Beit Yeshua is pulling the boat with a rope. Mara Amar, Anokanin Allah Lakula. Mara Amar, Anokanin Allah Lakula. And Rapapa and Ravuna Beit Yeshua now are fighting over this boat. Who owns the boat? Pagabu Rabinchas Barami. They bumped into Rabinchas Barami. Amr Lahu, Ravu Shmod, Amr Tavayavu, Shezbro Menachem, Shezerabim. So Rav Pinchas Barami says, Rav Huna, Rav Papa, I don't know what you guys are fighting about. The only time you could grab a boat is when it's Munach Bershas Rabim. And this boat is clearly not Bershas Rabim. So Amr Lahu, Rav Papa, and Rav Huna Beit Yeshua respond, Ananami Mechrafusa Dinara Tavista Nehu. No, we didn't just grab the boat right now. We grabbed it from the quick running current of the river, which does have a din of Bershas Rabim. Of course, this doesn't mean as din of Bershas Rabim like Hilchos Shabbos, 600,000 Jews. It means as din of Bershas Rabim with regard to Kinyanim. So now Rapapa and Ravuna Beit Yeshua are fighting over who was the kinyan on this boat. Asla Kamei de Rava, they came to Rava, Amr Lahu, Kaki Chiyuri. Rava yells at them and says, you white glees, Meshalchi Glima Dinshi, you rip off the clothing of people. Hachi Amr Anachman, Mushatavas Mechayim. Rav Nachman taught us, you're only able to grab it Mechayim, and once the person dies, you're not able to grab it anymore. And of course, this goes back to yesterday's discussion that this is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva, that we pass in like Rabbi Akiva Mechaverav, that you're not able to grab the boat because the only time you could grab of the properties of the deceased is while he's alive. But once he is nifter, you no longer are able to. And therefore Rava doubly yelled at them. Number one is you got the halacha wrong. And number two is why are you making Yemer Bar Chashu shliach drop the boat in order just so you can take it for yourself. And the Gemara continues with another story. Today's going to be a lot of stories, all dealing with the same detail, whether one could indeed grab something of the deceased in order to effect collecting of a loan. So we continue, we're 10 lines down into Pei Amud Aleph. The first one of the line is Shetafsa. Avimi Brid Rav Avua. This story is with Avimi, the son of Rav Avua, Avimaski Beizuzi Bechazai, who is owed money by a certain person who lived in Chayzai. Shadrinu biyad chama brid derabu baravua. So what did Avimi do? He went and he sent the money to the creditors in the hands of Chama Breit Rabba Ravua. So Chama Breit Rabba Ravua is the shliach with the money. Azol Parinu. So Chana went and he paid them. Amr lahu, and after Chama paid back the people that they owed money to, so Chama says, Havlu Ishtara. Okay, I paid you up. Now give me the document that says that Avimi owed you money. Of course, usually you pay and you get the document. Amrulay, they said to him, Sit Raininu. No, this payment that you gave us wasn't for that document. It was a different payment that you owed us. But that document, you want to take this document? No, Avimi still owes us that money. So what happens? Come to Rav Avua, Amrulay, Eschasadi Partinu. So they come to Rav Avua, and Rav Avua says, 1 second. To have Eidim that he actually paid you? Amrulay Loi, I don't have Eidim. He paid. I paid him, I didn't have any Eidim. Amrulay, if you don't have any Eidim, you're up the creek. Since he's able to say Lahadam, this person could say, pay me? What do you mean you never paid me? Therefore, we could say it was payment for a different loan. This is a classical migu, that since he could have said that you never pay me, we have to believe him to say that the payment was for a different loan, and that document he does not have to return. So now the Gemara asked, what should this shliach, what should Chama Breit Rabba Ravua, what should he have done? Le'inyin shalumei shliach mai. Does the shliach, does Chama Breit Rabba Ravua, does he have to pay? Maybe the fact that he gave over the money without first asking for the shtar makes him liable, and he now has to pay. Amr Avashi Chazina. We have to see. If he was told, take the shtar first and then pay, then you're right. Then Mishalim, then he's actually liable and he has to pay. But if he was told, Avzuzi Yishol Shara, pay and then take the shtar, Loi Mishalim. But the Gemara comments, it says it's not true. Bengach Mishalim, the shliach is liable in any case. I'm related to Kunishat Titicha, V'lo La'avasi, a classical rule in all of shlichos, that the Mishaleach, the sender, can tell the shliach, I don't know what you did, but I sent you for my good. I did not send you to mess me up. Therefore, if you're not messing me up, you have to pay me back. Continues the Gemara, we're smacking of the Amen to do that with another story. There was a woman, there was a woman who had a pouch, a bag full of documents that she was holding on to, and the person, the owner of those documents, died. So also the Yarshim came, and they came to her and they said, oh, you're holding all these documents, beautiful. Can we please have them back? They're from our father. Amrulu, she responded, no. I grabbed these documents in your father's lifetime, and therefore, why? Because he owed me money. Therefore, I'm not giving you back these documents now. Pay me, and then I'll give you them. So, Asla came to Rav Nachman, Amar La, so Rav Nachman said to her, do you have witnesses that the father asked you back for the shtaros while he was alive, and you didn't give it to him? Amar Le. So she said, no, I don't have such witnesses. Amar Le, so Rav Nachman paskind, Amar Le loy, imkein avetisa lachamisa, tisa lachamisa loy klamhi. So said Rav Nachman, if you don't have such witnesses, then it's akin, it's as if you grabbed it after he died, and therefore it's meaningless, and you have to return the shtaros. And we continue over here, and the reason here being, the Rashi explains, because since she was given the documents, this bag of documents as a bikadin, therefore, the reason why she's considered to have holding them is for the owner, and now that he died, she has to give them back. Continues the Gemara, there was another woman, there was a woman that had to swear in Bezdin. The Rava of Rava, Amrulei Bas of Chista. So Rava's wife, who was the daughter of Chista, came to Bezdin and said to Rava, her husband, I know this woman, she's going to swear falsely. So Rava believed his wife, and Rava swapped the shvua shekenegda. And that's a general klal, that any time that one is chesed in a shvua, any time one is suspected of swearing falsely, what do we say? We say that the opposing party is the one that has to swear. Continues the story. There were times they came in front of Rav Papa, and Rav Bar Masna brought documents in front of him. Rav Papa said, I know that document that Rav Bar Masna is holding. It's a paid document. They asked Rav Papa, Rav Papa, it's beautiful that you're telling us that. But do you have another aid with you? Demar? Amar le loy. Amar Le, so he said to the Hiligur Rapapa, Avagav Dikamar, Eidachod, Lav Klum Hu. Said Rapapa, I'm sorry to say, you're a wonderful person, we only 1 aid, and 1 aid in his bezdin is meaningless. So Amar later, Rav Bar Masna said to Rav, I don't understand. You, Rav, will believe the daughter of Rav Chisda. You, Rav, will believe your wife. So Rav Papa is not as great, such an incredible line. Rav Papa is not as great as the daughter of Rav Chisda. Answers the Gemara, fundamental teretz. Pas Rav Chisda Kimle Begavei said, Rava, the daughter of Rav Chisda, my wife, I know her 100%. I know she wouldn't lie. But Mahar, Rav Papa, Lo Kimle Begavei, as great and as holy as he is, I do not have that same level of credibility that I do about my wife. Amar Rav Papa, Hashad Amar Mar Kimle Begavei, says the Gemara, says Rav Papa, now that Mar has said that if one says Kimli Begavei, Milsa, he, then that is considered a psak halach. If someone knows something with absolutivity about a person, even if it's only 1 aid, that is something that holds power in Bezdin. And Milsa, he going Abu Marmari to Kimle Bigave, that I believe him 100%. And Karana Shtara Pumei, so much so I'm going to rip up a star in his mouth. Karana Sal Gedeitach. Says Gemara, really? You're going to rip up a star based on 1 aid? Says Gemara, you're right. What does it mean? It means I'll downgrade a document. I won't let it be able to be collected 100%. And here we see the incredible rule. Rashi points out, he wouldn't actually rip it up, he just wouldn't let the document have the full power to collect them. And here we see an incredible din, that if someone has the ability to believe someone 100%, even an Eid Achad, and paskin based off of that. Now obviously he's not going to be able to paskin 100% to collect based off of that, but we see that you could allow it to affect the din Torah. Continues the Gemara, another story, 4 lines from the white lines. Hey, Amar Aleph. Hayitza di Chai V'Shvua. There was a woman that was Chai V'Shvua. Beidina de Rabbi Bar Abaya. Amar le Ahu Bal Davar. One of the litigants said to the judges, Teiti v'Tishva b'Masa. Let her come and swear in our hometown. Afshar de Michasava u'Maida. Maybe she'll be embarrassed when she's in her home setting, and she'll admit to that what she did. Amrullah, they said to them, so she said, write for me a letter of acquittal, write for me saying that I came over here and I was allowed to be freed if I made a shvuah. So now when I get home, I'll swear and they'll give it to me. Amrullah Rabbi Bar Abaya in the first white line, write the document for her. Amr Ababi, says Rababi, what are you doing? Just because you come from Mulai, you say things that are silly. Amar Rava Barava has taught us, that this Asharta Dayana, this certification by judges, if it's written before the court case was actually finished, psula is possible. Alma, what's the reason? Because any time judges are going to write something before the Torah actually is finished, it looks like it's lying. The same thing is over here. It says the Gemara, but there's a fundamental difference. But it's not true. Kosher. For that which I said in the name of Rav Nachman, that if you find the get and you signed it and he gave it to his wife, it's going to be kosher and she'll be divorced. So what do we see? We see that not every document we necessarily have to be chayshid, that it looks kishikra, that it looks like it's false. Don't argue on this din of Rameir with regarding to get. They don't argue fundamentally. They only argue with regard to a get. Because a get has to be reading lishma, a special din about a get, not every shtar. A get is a special din has to be written lishma. But all the stars, they admit that if you find it in the trash, you're allowed to use it, and it's not considered possible just because it looks like it's sheker. Why? And from here we see that the only reason why you cannot collect with it is because why? Because the shibud is ready to be meichel. But the fact that it might look like appear like it's a falsehood on the top of Peham and Aleph, that is not something that we are worried about. That was a psak halacha. Do not be madam milsa milsa. Don't say just because by get we don't believe it by all sharais. That's not true. By other sharais, we would yes be able to collect with it. Continues the Gemara. Once we learned the tremendous rule on the bottom of Amud Aleph, that once you have a personal knowledge of something, we have a bunch of stories that are related to that. On the top of Be'em at Be'ez, Ahugavra De'ifkid Sheiv Marganisa Desari Bisadina. There was a certain man who deposited 7 pearls wrapped up in a handkerchief. Be'i Ramiyasha Bar B'rei Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Shacham Ramiyasha v'lo bakid. So Ramiyasha was nifter, v'lo bakid, and he didn't tell anyone what to do with any of his properties. So Asli Kamei Ravami, they came to Ravami, Amar Lechad, number 1, Dedina Beit Rav Mirasha, Beit Rav Yeshua ben Levi, Tzlo Yamid. Number 1, I happen to know that Mirasha Beit Rav Yeshua ben Levi was not a wealthy person, so these pearls were certainly not his. V'oid, and furthermore, Hakiyav Simana. And furthermore, the person that's coming to claim gave a siman, and now that we know that the pearls are indeed his, so number 1, we know that it's not the property of the deceased because he didn't have such cash. And number 2 is he gave a siman, there were 7 pearls, and they were wrapped up. Says the Gemara, that's the din type, that's the din. However, 8 lines down below, that's only if the person that came and gave a siman doesn't hang out in the other person's house. But if he hung out over there, then you have to be worried and say, wait, maybe the only reason why he knows there were 7 pearls wrapped up was why? Because he saw someone else give it as a pikadon. But if he was not generally there, then we indeed believe him. And now we have another story. There was a person who deposited a silver cup with chasa. Chasa was nifter of pocket, and he didn't give his family any instructions. Number 1, I know he's not wealthy. Money gave us siman, and explains the Gemara. Then the same din, if he was normally hung out in that house and he does not have such an nemanis. And a third similar story, there was someone who gave a silk garment with Rav Dimi, who was Achud Rav Safra, the brother of Safra. Shach Rav Dimi v'lo bakid, and he didn't give any instructions to his household. Also committed Rav Abba, Armalu Chad, and everyone, and I know he was not wealthy. Well, and furthermore, Kiyav Simani gave us siman. Explains the Gemara for the third time. It's only if he doesn't normally hang out over there. So 3 stories proving the same point, that the only time we believe the siman in conjunction with the fact that he was not wealthy is only if he does not hang out over there, but if he does, then he would not be believed. And finally, we end off with one more similar story with someone that was niffer that did not give any instructions to his family. We're 10 lines on the wide lines. The first word in line is there was a person who was there was a person right before his death, he said, my properties are given over to Tivai. But he didn't say which Tivai. Shachav, he was nifter asa Tuvai, and Tuvai came. Amr Rav Yechanan, Hariba Tuvai. Tuvai came. Hariba Tuvai. Tuvai come, and therefore he takes it. We have no reason not to give it to him. Amar Tuvai. But says the Gemara, but if when the person died, he said it should go to Tuvai, V'asa Rav Tuvai, and then a person by the name of Rav Tuvai came, he can't take it. Why? The Tuvai Amar, the Rav Tuvai Lai Amar. We see from here, it's not always good to be called by Rav. V'inish, the guy is pay. But says the Gemara, but if the person was one who was casual with Rav Tuvai, meaning sometimes you hear different Rabbanim, different Gedalim, I refer to someone else by his first name. So if Rav Tuvai was friends with this dead person, his Gisbei, then we assume that he was referring to him, even though he didn't say Rav Tuvai, we assume he was referring to him, even though he only said Tuvai. Also Shnei Tuvai. Let's say 2 people came with the same name, Shachein v'Talmud Chacham. If one of them is a neighbor, another one is Talmud Chacham Kaidem. Kara v'Talmud Chacham Kaidem. Ibaylo asked the Gemara, with this we conclude, Shachein v'Kara Mai. That it's better to have a good shachein than a brother that's distant. Then it goes by whatever the judges determine. The shuda the dayana, they figure out what they believe the deceased person wanted to give it to, and we'll pick it up with similar story in tomorrow's daf. B'siyata d'shmaya.